In the spotlight tonight, the president attacks Republican Congressman Paul Ryan's radical plan to cut spending, cut taxes, and not even come close to balancing the budget for about 70 years.
This vision is less about reducing the deficit than it is about changing the basic social compact in America. Ronald Reagan's own budget director said there's nothing serious or courageous about this plan. There's nothing serious about a plan that claims to reduce the deficit by spending $1 trillion on tax cuts for millionaires and billionaires. And I don't think there's anything courageous about asking for sacrifice from those who can least afford it and don't have any clout on Capitol Hill. That's not a vision of the America I know.
Joining me now to discuss their visions of America are Republican Congressman Jack Kingston of Georgia and Democratic Congressman Anthony Weiner of New York. Thank you very much for joining me tonight, gentlemen.
Thanks.
Thank you, Lawrence.
Congressman Kingston, I want you to listen to a piece that the president said where he linked Medicare and Social Security to a moral imperative. Let's listen to what the president said about that.
There, but for the grace of God, go I, we say to ourselves. And so we contribute to programs like Medicare and Social Security.
Congressman Kingston, I can tell you in Catholicism there are many Catholic theologians who make that linkage from that phrase to government social programs, safety net programs like this. In your Episcopalian faith, do you see a connection between that phrase of there but for the grace of God go I and these kinds of government programs?
Yes, I certainly do, and I think it is important to look after those who have fallen through the cracks. But I also think it's important to make sure that those programs that have been so important for this generation will be there for the next generation, and that's why we really need to come together and maybe put politics aside for a change and say, okay, what really will work for the future? The president's budget, which he introduced last month, did not do anything to reform Medicaid or Medicare or Social Security. I think it's very important that we bring it up. I welcome the president to the table. Paul Ryan has already laid these issues on the table, and I think it is an extremely important bipartisan discussion.
Congressman Weiner, your team now has a plan to rally behind. How's the rally going?
Well, it's much better. You described as an attack on Paul Ryan's plan. Really what he did was describe it. Look, here's the central fact of the Medicare program. Democrats created and support it. The Republicans don't. They showed us that last year when we had a bill that would extend its life expectancy by 10 years, and not a single one of them voted for it. Now they have their budget on the table, and what does it do? It ends Medicare. Plain and simple. It says to seniors in the future, we're going to give you a coupon and allow you to go and shop around as best you can.
Lawrence, this is why we can't get anything done in Washington, D.C. You know, the president's put a plan on the table. We should look at it. We should look at the Paul Ryan plan. All this rhetoric about Republicans hate seniors, Republicans are against Social Security. Anthony, you and I know better than that. We may have different visions of getting there, but I think what we saw last Friday night, that the two parties can come together. We saw it back in December when your president voted to extend the Bush tax cuts. Now, I did not vote to extend the Bush tax cut, but President Obama, who promised against it, he did. And today he said, well, now I'm against it. But you know what? Having him at the table, having the discussion, I think is a very positive thing for both parties.
Congressman Weiner, go ahead.
Well, I just the protest notwithstanding, what I said was factually correct. When we had a chance to expand Medicare and extend it by 10 years, every Republican voted no. And the irony is this. They yelled at the top of their lungs and lied through their teeth saying that Democrats wanted to slash Medicare. Now what are they doing? I'm going to say something now that is factually true and Mr. Kingston cannot deny. Under Ryan's plan, which apparently Mr. Kingston supports, we end Medicare as a guaranteed program for seniors. That's the simple facts. If you don't like it, Mr. Kingston, vote no.
Anthony, you know that the Ryan plan transforms it to put market forces in there, and I know you don't like the free market.
What does transform it mean? And what does that English mean?
What it does is it takes it to a voucher program so that seniors can get out. And by the way, we're talking about people under 55 years old. Medicare, as we know it, will not exist because it is a path to go broke. And so you have to make some changes. And I welcome the president to the table. Remember, remember, it was the president and you Democrats who cut Medicare last year to fund Obamacare. You did cut it, $500 billion. And so that was part of, I mean, we're not going to get anywhere with all this finger pointing, though. I think it's important to say, you know what? We've got a plan that utilizes the evil private market, but it has shown to be effective, and it will bring down the cost of medicine, which we have got to do to get our hands around it, because there's no government tax level high enough to take care of Medicare on its current path.
Congressman Kingston, in your privatizing Medicare plan, how much profit would be too much profit for an insurance company to make out of your private Medicare plans?
If we have enough choices for seniors, just like we have choices in a lot of products all around America, we won't have to worry about anybody getting excessive profits, because everybody will be competing against each other and the market will drive the profit down. But I'll say this, if somebody can go out there and give my mom and dad better health care, and it won't be my mom and dad, they won't even be affected by the Ryan plan, it's people 55 and under. And if they can have a better plan out there, then that company might deserve to get a little profit out of it, because they have saved Medicare and improved the quality of medicine for our will-be one-day seniors.
Congressman Weiner, what we're talking about here in all these plans is deficit reduction. I have never seen a deficit reduction plan introduced during a so-called deficit crisis, and we've had them in the past, where that plan has a 70-year plan, a 70-year plan to get the budget into balance and not even begin to get to the national debt until at least 75 years from now. These plans tend to be written over 10-year windows, sometimes a little bit longer than that. I just can't fathom why there would be any difficulty in completely embarrassing the Republicans in the House for introducing a deficit reduction plan that doesn't eliminate the deficit for 75 years.
Well, part of it, I mean, frankly, they're doing a pretty good job of embarrassing themselves. You just heard Mr. Kingston in Washington speak, saying, oh, we're not ending it, we're transforming it into a voucher program. That's English for we're getting rid of it. The fact is that really what the Republicans are seeing now is they think they have an opportunity to really hack away at the safety net programs they never really cared about. I'm not saying they don't like seniors, they just don't like Medicare. I'm not saying they don't like seniors, they just don't like Social Security. I'm not saying they don't like seniors, they just don't like them to become poor or sick or have any need for care. That's the fundamental difference between Democrats and Republicans.
Okay,
Jack, you're going to have to stop saying my name out loud as if somehow it's going to slow me up. All I can say is this, is what the president, Jack, wait your turn.
I have to slow you up now.
Lawrence,
hold on, I have to slow up both of you. I'm sorry, we're out of time. I want to have you both.
We need to see Anthony's plan, and we'll put it next to the Ryan plan. We'll take a look at it. I might even vote for it.
We're going to get Anthony's plan, we're going to get my plan and your plan, and we're all going to come back. Congressman Jack Kingston of Georgia and Congressman Anthony Weiner of New York, thank you both for joining me tonight.
Thank you.
Lawrence.